everyone. I'm Adam Brown, and this is Shell Point Today for Thursday, July 10th. On today's show, we'll take a look back on the fun and festivities of the 4th of July Jamboree from last Friday. We'll also hear from employee chaplain Don Steenhoek, who will preview yet another of his popular presentations on beautiful science. But first, we want to remind you that today's choral workshop with Randy Woods has been canceled. Randy will be out of town attending the funeral of a close friend, so Sing Through the Summer will not be happening today. A whole lot of singing did happen last Friday at the 4th of July Jamboree that took place at the Woodlands. A Dixieland band roved around the Commons building during the event, and our own Dan Filgreen played his guitar and sang his heart out on the patio out back. And there was lots of other fun. Let's take a look back. Our employee chaplain, Don Steenhoek, has a keen interest in God's creativity, as you might imagine. He is also a keen student of science. And when you mix up those two interests, you end up with a man who has a keen perspective on the beauty of creation as revealed in scientific discovery. He is always on the lookout for new revelations unearthed by the latest research. And Don is here now to preview the latest of his ongoing presentations of beautiful science.
Hello everyone, I'm here with Don Steenhoek. He is our employee chaplain at Shell Point, and today we're talking about one of his other loves, and that's science. And he's going to present Beautiful Science 11 in the Academy this semester. Thanks for joining me, Don.
It's always a pleasure to be here, Terry.
It's so exciting for all of us that you take the time to look at these TED lectures and pull the ones that are the most fascinating and then introduce us. And this one is going to be probably the best yet.
Well, I'm not sure of that, but it's going to be interesting. We are discovering now what has been termed the smoking gun that proves that there was a Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago, basically because of the gravitational waves that were set up during the inflation microseconds after the world began. So it's a very interesting view, and historically I'd like to give you a little bit of background that got us to the whole concept of the Big Bang and why we're where we're at. A man by the name of Olberg asked a very simple question back in the middle of the 1800s, and I'll ask the question to you, but then I'll answer it. The question is, one night he went out and he looked up at the sky and he said, "Why is it dark at night?" If the universe were infinite, and if the universe were eternal, then from each successive ring there would be an equal amount of light that would reach the earth. And although the amount of light from each consecutive ring would be small, when you multiply something small by something that is infinite, the conclusion is that the sky should be bright as day at night as well, from all the light coming from the stars. So Olberg, back in the middle of the 1800s, had the paradox. The universe cannot be eternal. The universe cannot be infinite. It has to be finite. Then Hubble came along in the 1920s and basically proved what Einstein's theory of relativity suggested, and proved that the universe is expanding. And he found that to be true by the same principle that you might have experienced or other people experience when they stand by a train track and the train coming at them whistles with a higher pitch than when the train starts to go away from them. It's called a Doppler shift. Same is true with light. There's what's called the red shift. If I'm moving towards you, the red wavelength is compressed, and if I'm moving away from you, the red wavelength is expanded. And Hubble began to look into space and measure the red shift, and everywhere he looked, stars were moving away. And then he discovered that the further away the star was, the faster it was moving. So the conclusion is that the universe is finite, it's not eternal, and it's expanding. Well, if it's expanding, the question obviously is expanding from what? So they began to conjecture that at one point in time the universe actually had coalesced to a very small, infinitesimally small point of infinite mass and expanded from that. Now, the scientists of that age did not like the idea. And in fact, it was a derisive term at first when they said, well, that's Hubble's Big Bang. And the reason they didn't like it, quite candidly, is because that coincides so exactly with what Scripture says. God said, "Let there be light." And Scripture says God created the universe out of nothing. And so there, in the 1920s, people, first of all, derisively started calling it Hubble's Big Bang. And today it is one of the underpinnings of the theory of cosmology, that at one point in time, everything in this known universe was an infinitely dense, infinitesimally small point that everything expanded from. And that's what we're going to look at in Beautiful Science 11.
Fascinating. Well, as you're explaining all this in such wonderful detail, and it's obvious that you followed all of these developments, people might sit back and say, why does all this matter?
Well, two more things, and then I'll get to that. Everybody was pretty content with the idea that the universe was expanding, and they began to think, well, you know, there's gravitational effect, and it's like a spring. It's going to go so far, and then gravitation is going to take over, and it's all going to come back together. So people began to postulate that the universe is basically on a 30, 40 billion year cycle. It goes bang, it expands, it contracts, it goes bang, okay. But then, to everyone's surprise, at the end of the 1990s and the early part of this century, they studied quasars, and from their determination, they came up with a totally non-intuitive result. The rate of expansion of the universe is increasing. It's expanding more rapidly today than it was last year, 1,000 years ago, a long time ago. So, as you know, when you go down Shell Point Boulevard, if you're going to increase your speed from 40 to 45, which of course is the legal limit that you always abide by, right, you need to add energy. You need to push on the accelerator. You need to add energy so that the velocity of your car increases. So now we're faced with a real reality. We have a whole universe that is speeding up in its expansion. So where is the energy coming from? Okay? So that gave birth to the idea of dark energy. It's got to be there, but we can't see it. Okay?
So we know what we believe, and now how fascinating to have science become a basis.
Yeah.
What people have been fighting against since the 1920s.
Yeah, and it's non-contradictory, and I'd like to conclude with this thought. All of this, for me personally, presents a huge problem. I'll just say huge. The problem is simply this. As a child, I'll confess that God was kind of like a grandfather figure. Bearded guy sitting on a throne, infinitely wise, infinitely powerful. But I could picture God as my grandfather on steroids, okay? Well, as I grew older, of course, that concept expanded and expanded and expanded. But the thing that I can't get my head around is when you consider that from that tiny point of nothingness, everything came to be. And now the universe is like 27 billion light years in diameter, almost innumerable number of stars, galaxies, and all of that. There is a God in my belief system who created that. And enormous is not an adequate word. There's no measuring stick that I can use. There's no mathematical formula that I can conjecture in terms of, well, how much energy did God expend when he spoke the world into existence? I mean, and then to hold on to that idea and to understand that that same God is here right now in this room, available to you and me. His Spirit dwells within us. Well, let me just simply say, it's well beyond my understanding, and it just blows me away when I think about it.
Don, this is so great. This is going to be a wonderful experience for all of us to kind of see the background of what you're talking about, and look at our own concerns and our own ways of accepting and understanding. Yeah. Fabulous. Thank you for one more semester of Beautiful Science.
My pleasure.
I hope you join us. It is going to be in the Grand Cypress Room, and it's 10 to 11:30 Monday. July 14th. Don Steenhoek.
Now it's time to cover all today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the Happenings segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Bev Chandley and this is Leslie Brand, and we're going to go through the activities that we offer for you here today at Shell Point. We're going to start out with a Bend, Breathe, and Balance class in the Health Club at 7:15. And we have an 8 o'clock Men's Golf Association gathering at the Shell Point Golf Club. Also at 8 o'clock we have the Round Robin Doubles Tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. At 9:15 we have Shuffleboard at the Shuffleboard Courts. Now 9:30, that's the time for the current events group. They'll be in the game room of the Woodlands. Also at 9:30 we have the Ladies Match Play Tennis. You want to call 433-5069 if you're interested in that tennis group. At 9:30 the Paddlers Club is gathering by the kayak storage facility for their weekly outing. And 9:30 is also the time for Samba, the card game in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. 9:45 we have Introduction to Beginning Line Dancing in the Health Club. 10:15 we have Basic Line Dancing in the Health Club. And then we're going to round out the morning today with a 10:30 Susie Q trip to the Joint for lunch. A sign up is required for that. Now here's Leslie for your afternoon activities.
Thank you, Bev. At 12:45, Health Connections, Spanish by Motion in the Health Club. That class is currently full. 12:45, Mahjong at the Library Lounge. 1:30, Health Connections, Aqua Pilates Stretch at the Life Plus Aquatic Center. 2:45, Health Connections, Balance and Mobility Training Level 2 in the Health Club. That class is currently full. 4 o'clock, Seamstress with their weekly service will be in the Osprey Room on the island. 4:30, Alcoholics Anonymous meeting will meet in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. 4:30, Indoor Bocce will meet in the Health Club. 6:30, Pinochle in the Library Lounge. 7 o'clock, Trailblazers Bible Study will be in the Game Room of the Woodlands. Thank you for tuning in with us today, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for the weekend edition.
Hello, I'm Terry Koleth with your Academy information for Thursday, July 10th. At 9:15, the Power of Right Clicking will take place in the Computer Teaching Center on the island, and you can sign up at either service desk.
Menus for Thursday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is General Tso's chicken with steamed jasmine rice and stir-fry vegetables. The dinner special is the Crystal Carving Board for $12.95, and the soup of the day is country cabbage. In the Island Cafe for lunch, the special is a chili cheese dog with baked beans and fries for $7.25. The dinner special is Thai night for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill are New York strip for $17.95 or crab cakes for $16.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, Randy Woods here at the Village Church, and I'm here today with Sue Stranahan because she's been very involved in a ministry that we talk about a lot here at Shell Point, in the church, in the community, and so many of you have been very generous to contribute to that which we have known as the South Fort Myers Food Pantry. Now, Sue, you've been very involved since this ministry started about 6 years ago.
It started before my involvement. I became interested probably about 4 years ago when I realized that there was such a need in our community for people to receive some kind of assistance just to make ends meet at the end of the month especially. So that's when I became involved. I was very interested in doing this particular food bank because it's a coalition of maybe 15 different churches from South Fort Myers, including the Village Church, and there's quite a list of other churches who are involved, and so it's a great opportunity to work together with people of faith from different church backgrounds, united for a common purpose.
I understand that the location is still at the Cypress Lake Presbyterian Church?
That's right.
And is this the kind of thing that happens just once a week and takes about 2 hours, or is it more involved than that?
It does happen on Mondays. The food pantry itself is open for clients 4 hours a day, from 11 to 1, and then in the evening from 6 to 8. However, for the volunteers, it's a much longer day than that.
I read that the workers get there at 6:30 on Monday mornings to prepare for this.
The morning shift does. I've gone to the evening shift, but the morning shift starts at 6:30.
But the evening shift lingers till 9:30, 10 o'clock.
It can.
Now, when folks volunteer, you've mentioned the various churches that are participating in this whole ministry, this whole program is carried out through volunteers.
It is entirely. There is no paid staff. It's actually in partnership with Harry Chapin Food Bank, and so we get a lot of our food from Harry Chapin.
Okay. Now, as folks come in, I understand that regardless of who the person is, they come in as clients.
Correct.
And they're given the opportunity to shop for
That's
things.
right.
Tell us about that process.
Well, that's what my job usually is I'm a cart pusher.
Okay.
And so every client is assigned to a volunteer who pushes the grocery cart. And it's a regular grocery cart that you might find at Winn-Dixie or whatever. And then we go along the aisles. The food pantry is set up like a grocery store, so people can pick off the shelf what they like. Now there are parameters. You can only have so many cans of tuna, so many cans of pork, or so many cans of soup. And there's usually a sign up there that tells us what the quantity is for that day. And it changes from week to week depending on what our supply has been. And so as the cart pusher, I push the cart along. People pick up what they want. Sometimes they don't want certain things, and we just pass that. We go through canned goods and through cereal, through beverages. Sometimes there's coffee, sometimes tea, and then we end up with frozen meat. Oh, okay. And there are some fellows who help them give the frozen meat. It's usually pork, chicken, hamburger, and sometimes some deli items. And then we go through the bread line. They can pick up what bread they would like to have, depending on what's being permitted, and then the desserts.
So the clients are given the opportunity to interact with a volunteer.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's a freedom that they're not, a freedom that they can choose things that are available.
That's the genius of it, I think, is it gives them a little control over what products they choose. And we've got label readers who will say, I'm not taking anything with sodium in it, and that kind of thing. And then when they go outside, there's a lot of fresh produce, and people absolutely love the fresh produce. And it's usually very nice.
I understand a lot of families come, and typically the parents or the older responsible adult is doing the shopping, but the volunteers take care of the children as well.
Well, we have volunteers who love to see the kids happy, and we'll hand them a piece of gum or some candy or a little toy or something like that keeps the child interested as we walk up and down the aisles.
Well, that's important that they have a good experience as they come there. Yeah. And our residents here between the church and the community have been very generous financially and in other ways to contribute food items. And is that making a significant difference?
It is. We give away between 8,000 and 9,000 pounds of food every week. A lot of that is donation. Some of it comes from Harry Chapin. Some of it is purchased, and $1, I should say, that's given can buy $6 worth of food, so it helps.
I understand that the generosity of the people has enabled them purchasing power, like you said, which is really good. And I found it interesting that almost 3,000 families have benefited just in this year.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
What else is amazing is that during the summer months, that number goes up because part-time employment dwindles in this area. We're such a seasonal economy. So the number of clients increases, but the number of volunteers often goes down because snowbirds go north.
And I understand, I'm afraid to name them, but there are a number of residents who volunteer here from Shell Point that are part of this.
That's right.
And it's been exciting to see it grow. So folks can continue to participate, whether they give financially or food items or volunteer their time. If you're interested in learning more, I encourage you to call the church office. We'll be happy to help you with information how you can participate with the food ministry. And also you can check out the website for the South Fort Myers Food Pantry. Thank you so much.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow for more from around Shell Point. And remember that tomorrow is Market Day in the Administration Courtyard. Come and grab some wonderful fresh fruits and veggies. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Thursday, July 10th. I'm Adam Brown, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.